Hi, welcome back to the channel. I'm Bunnysmacker, and today I'm reviewing the Castlevania Advance Collection, released by Konami back in 2021. I recently started a Let's Play of Castlevania Aria of Sorrow on the channel, and Halloween time seems like the perfect time to talk about a game series inspired by one of the original horror novels, Dracula, by Bram Stoker. For this review, I'll be talking about the titles individually and the products as a whole. Going to start with the odd one out, Dracula X, which was an attempt of a port of Rondo of Blood on the SNES. Dracula X feels like a classic Castlevania game. It's linear, stiff, difficult, and live-based. There really isn't much to say about Dracula X. Rondo of Blood for the TurboGrafx 16 was better in every facet, and this is an extremely weird port. It's also odd it didn't make it into the Castlevania Classics collection. That had most of the early titles, including the 16-bit Super Castlevania 4 on the SNES, and the Sega Genesis Castlevania Bloodlines. Dracula X feels very tacked on to this collection, and while it's still worth playing for the soundtrack alone, all you really need to know is it's tough, deliberate, and it was originally panned by critics back in the 90s. Now for the reason we're all here, the Metroidvanias. Circle of the Moon, the first Castlevania outing on the GBA. This one right here feels the most of a marriage of the two opposing gameplay Castlevania titles. Feels like you're playing the slow, deliberate, and difficult games of the past. Think Simon Belmont. In the new, well, at the time, and exciting Metroidvania games like Symphony of the Night. So the map and the power-ups want you to feel like you're in a follow-up to Symphony, but instead of playing the often overpowered son of Dracula, Alucard, you get to be some kid who walks like he has cement in his shoes. I can see why the next Metroidvania games went back to having better movement and quicker attack animations. I don't know, something about Circle of the Moon makes me very nostalgic, so I really enjoy this game. I personally think it's the second best game in this collection. The mixing and matching of the different magic cards that enemies drop is really fun. I know when it first released, many people didn't like how dark the graphics were overall. That's mostly because the GBA wasn't backlit. However, we now live in the future, where my TV makes it look like I can actually see the game, and I can hear the music, and it's not coming out of a tiny speaker. And it looks and sounds like it originally intended, and it's great. A+ all around. The next game in our collection is Harmony of Dissonance, and it's another solid Metroidvania. Bit of an overcorrection in terms of brightness on the graphics by Konami, and the blue outline around Justy Belmont is also fairly ugly, but again it added to the readability on the original Game Boy Advance. The movement of the main character is a lot faster than Circle of the Moon, making Transversal feel great. Harmony of Dissonance ditches the card system of Circle of the Moon for a handful of spellbooks that change up your sub-weapons. Gameplay, aside from still having the whip, feels a lot closer to Symphony of the Night. Honestly, on the whole, Harmony feels like a true follow-up to Symphony. Most likely why it has a similar naming convention. Overall, it feels good to control and move around the map. Unfortunately, the map is the biggest reason I don't enjoy revisiting this game. Don't get me wrong, it's still a great game to play through once. I just feel like it borrowed too much from Symphony of the Night, and the large expensive map just tends to get boring after a while. I know a lot of people will find this to be either their favorite or second favorite in this collection, and honestly, when I played it back in the double pack I had on the original Game Boy Advance in 2006, I liked it a lot as well. Just not sure I feel the same way now, as it's overstayed its welcome compared to Circle of the Moon, and the final game we are going to be talking about. Aria of Sorrow is the next and final game in our collection, and it is one of my favorite games of all time, and easily my favorite game in this collection. Seems to have the best ideas, graphics, gameplay, map, and maybe most importantly, music. The Castlevania series has some of, if not the best music in gaming, so that really shouldn't come as a surprise. The main changes in Aria of Sorrow that take it from just another solid Metroidvania to best in show is the variety of weapons and a large variety thanks to the soul system. While playing as Soma Cruz, every single enemy in the game has a chance of giving you their soul, which grants you a power unique to them. With over 100 enemies in the game, you'll be given tons of options in a standard playthrough. This is literally a game I could go on and on and on about, but long story short, it makes this collection a must-buy if you never played it. That's not even considering the quality of life additions this collection has to offer. As I mentioned before, music in these games is great, and this collection adds a music player. It also has a gallery to see concept and box art across all regions, an encyclopedia to keep track of enemies and spells, and save states and rewind function to help with the difficulty that is Dracula X and Circle of the Moon. My final thoughts on the Castlevania Advance Collection. I find this game to be an easy recommend to those who've never played one or all of these games. The quality of life additions are welcome, even if they're pretty much the same as the classic Castlevania collection. It's only $19.99 on all modern platforms, which I think is a great price point for 3 classic Metroidvanias and a bonus game that is Dracula X, and hours of entertainment. Thanks as always for watching the channel. I appreciate every like, comment, and subscriber. I've been Bunnysmacker, and you've been my audience. See you in the next one. Same bunny time, same bunny channel. Alright, see ya.